high above the earth. Power shifts. Command travels at 500 miles per hour. This is not just a plane, it is a fortress. It is the flying White House. For 8 decades, 5 legendary aircraft defined American air power. They carried commanders-in-chief into war zones. They carried peace treaties across oceans. They carried history itself. The sky is cold. The stakes are absolute. When the president steps on board, the air traffic call sign changes instantly. AR Force One. It is the most famous radio identifier in aviation history. It guarantees absolute priority. It demands ultimate vigilance. Before the jets, before the radar jamming domes, presidents rode in unpressurized cabins. They braved ice. They braved turbulence. They braved enemy airspace. This is the story of 5 machines. 5 wings of statecraft. 5 icons forged in metal and diplomacy. 1944, World War II rages across 2 oceans. Commercial airliners are too vulnerable. President Franklin Delano Roosevelt needs a dedicated war transport. Enter the Douglas VC 54C, nicknamed the SA Cred Cow. It was the first aircraft purpose-built for the American presidency. Roosevelt could not walk. Secret Service required a hidden solution. Engineers built a custom elevator. It dropped directly out of the plane's belly. It lifted the president's wheelchair straight into the cabin. Silent, smooth, dignified. Inside a private stateroom waited a radio telephone connected directly to the Pentagon. February 1945. The Sacred Cow flies across 6,000 miles of ocean. Destination, Yalta Roosevelt meets Winston Churchill and Joseph Stalin. They reshape the post-war world. This plane carried the architect of victory. It was FDR's only flight aboard the machine. 2 months later, FDR was dead. Harry Truman took the oath. He inherited the Sacred Cow. July 26, 1947. Cruising at 10,000 feet, Truman puts pen to paper. He signs the National Security Act. In one signature, he creates the Central Intelligence Agency, he creates the Department of Defense, and he creates the United States Air Force. The Air Force was born inside the plane that served it. 1947. A new flagship takes the sky. The Douglas WWII 118. Truman names it Independence, honoring his hometown in Missouri. Look at that nose paint, a fierce, screaming bald eagle, bright orange, bold blue, unmistakable in any sky. Piston engines roared outside, 4 Pratt and Whitney radial power plants. Inside, luxury reigned. 24 passengers could ride in padded comfort or convert the seats into 12 sleeping berths. The aft cabin held an executive stateroom, a mahogany wardrobe, a full-size desk. October 1950. Korean War rages. Truman flies the Independence across the Pacific Ocean. Destination, Wake Island. He meets General Douglas MacArthur. Tension fills the tropical air. Strategy is debated. Fates are decided. The Independence was the stage for supreme military authority. It logged over 1 million flying miles, without a single accident. Enter General Dwight D. Eisenhower. The commander who conquered Europe, he chooses the Lockheed Constellation, designated VC-121. The iconic triple tail, the graceful dolphin-shaped hull. He names his planes Columbine, after the official flower of his wife's home state, Colorado. 1954. A dangerous flight occurs. Eisenhower's plane is airborne. Call sign AIR Force 8610. Suddenly, a commercial airliner enters the exact same altitude sector. Eastern Airlines Flight 8610. Identical call signs, air traffic controllers, panic confusion on the radio frequencies. Disaster is narrowly averted. The Secret Service demanded immediate reform. Never again. No mix-ups, a unique identifier was codified. Whenever the president flies on an Air Force vessel, the sky yields. The call sign is Absolute AIR Force. One Eisenhower's Columbine had given birth to a legend. October 1962. Propellers fall silent. The jet age erupts. The United States Air Force takes delivery of a custom Boeing 707, military designation VC-137, C-tail number S, AM 26000. Special air mission. It flies faster, it flies higher, it connects continents in hours instead of days. President John F. Kennedy disliked the initial military paint. It looked too aggressive. He commissioned legendary designer Raymond Loewy. First Lady Jacqueline Kennedy provided critical input. They created perfection, cyan blue slate, gray, crisp white roof, the presidential seal gilded on the door, bold letters along the fuselage, United States of America. It became the ultimate symbol of American diplomacy. June 1963. Cold War tension threatens West Berlin. SAM 26000 touches down, Kennedy steps off the air stairs. He delivers his historic declaration, Ich bin ein Berliner. The plane set 30 world speed records on that tour. It proved American reach was absolute. November 22nd, 1963, Dallas, Texas shots ring out in Dealey Plaza. President Kennedy is assassinated. The world stops spinning. Secret Service rushes Jacqueline Kennedy to Love Field. Inside the cramped cabin, heat rises, grief suffocates the air. Federal Judge Sarah Hughes boards Lyndon Baines. Johnson raises his right hand. He takes the oath of office. The casket carrying JFK rests in the aft section. Seats were sawed away to make room. SAM 26000 climbs into the night, carrying a dead president and a new commander. February 1972. The same aircraft undertakes a mission of peace. President Richard Nixon flies to China. The bamboo curtain parts SAM. 26000 lands in Beijing. Decades of isolation end in a single touchdown. 3 months later, it lands in Moscow. Strategic arms limitation. Talks begin. This single airframe carried the heaviest burdens of the 20th century. December 1972. A twin jet arrives. Boeing VC-137C, tail number SAM 27000. It takes over as primary presidential aircraft. It will serve 7 commanders-in-chief: Nixon, Ford, Carter, Reagan, George Bush, Clinton, and George W. Bush. August 9th, 1974. Watergate forces Richard Nixon to resign. He boards SAM 27000 as president over Missouri. Gerald Ford takes the oath in Washington. The pilot radios air traffic control. He changes the call sign mid-flight from Air Force One to SAM 27000, power transferred while airborne. Ronald Reagan flew SAM 27000 more than any other president. He logged over 500,000 miles in this cabin. It carried him to Iceland for summit talks with Gorbachev. It carried him to Berlin to demand, "Tear down this wall." It was upgraded with state-of-the-art secure communications, anti-missile countermeasures, a true command bunker in the clouds. 1990. The jet age evolves into the jumbo age. The Boeing VC-25A enters service based on the giant 747 airliner. 2 twin airframes, tail numbers 2 8000 and 2 9000, 4,000 square feet of interior space, 3 decks, a suite for the President, an operating room with onboard doctor, self-contained baggage loaders, in-flight refueling capability. It can stay airborne indefinitely. September 11th, 2001. Terrorists strike the homeland. America is under attack. Air Force One launches from Florida. President George W. Bush is taken into the sky. The plane ascends to 45,000 feet. Flying evasive patterns, it becomes the supreme nuclear command post. Unreachable, unstoppable. Protecting the commander-in-chief while the nation reels. From prop-driven skymasters to wide-body jumbo jets. These 5 historic wings carried modern history. They projected strength. They preserved peace. They safeguarded liberty in the high blue as new supersonic platforms and next-generation VC-25Bs loom. The legacy remains unchanged. Whenever those words pass over the frequency, AIR force. 1. The world listens.